On all our partner stations across the country. The news is also live across the globe on citynewsroom.com, Citi 97.3 FM on Facebook, and CityTube on YouTube. My name is Wilma Obuobisa Coleman, and this afternoon I'm here with
Charles Owusu Kumi.
Coming up.
We were expecting to hear something good from the government after yesterday's picketing. But up till now, we haven't received any official information or message from the government, either the Securities and Exchange Commission nor the Ministry of Finance.
Aggrieved customers of collapsed Gold Coast Fund Management picket at the Securities and Exchange Commission again to demand payment of their locked-up funds. Also coming up, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia declares intention to contest NPP presidential primaries in November 2023 to NPP MPs. Still ahead, Forestry Commission engaging Ministry of Finance to ensure the payment of arrears of seedling suppliers for Green Ghana project.
The Forestry Commission gave the contracts to them, and as such, they have compiled a list of how much they owe, submitted to the Ministry of Finance.
And later, United States of America to cancel COVID-19 vaccine requirement for foreign air travelers on May 11, 2023.
Today, we are announcing that the administration will end the COVID-19 vaccine requirements for federal employees, federal contractors, and international air travelers.
Stay tuned as we bring you details of all that and more on the Citi Prime News, which is live on all our affiliate stations across the country. In the Western region, we're on Adwempa 100.7 FM in Takwa and Beach 105.5 FM in Takrade. In the Bono region, we're on Greener FM 95.9 in Sunyani. In the Ashanti region, we're on Focus 94.3 FM in Kumasi and Orange 107.9 FM also in Kumasi. In the Volta region, you're listening to us on Revival 99.3 FM in Tajewu and VOV Radio 95.7 in Hohoi. In the Northern region, we are live on Radio Bimbila 91.9 FM. And in the Upper East region, we're on Quality 88.7 FM in Garu. And in the Upper West, we're on Tungsong 97.3 FM in Wa and Jirapa 96.1 FM.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Updates you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
Grateful for your time this afternoon. We'll settle for the details of our stories now. Now, the aggrieved customers of collapsed Gold Coast Fund Management Company have returned to the Security and Exchange Commission for day 2 of picketing to demand the payment of their locked-up funds. The financial institution under the name Black Shield Capital Limited had about 55,000 customers whose funds were locked up shortly before the regulator revoked its license. Addressing the media on the day of the picketing, the convener of the aggrieved customers, Charles Nyame, alleged that the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and Reverend Ugbami Tete of the Securities and Exchange Commission have deliberately withheld the funds.
Yesterday we were here and we were expecting to hear something good from the government after yesterday's picketing. But up till now, we haven't received any official information or message from the government, either the Securities and Exchange Commission nor the Ministry of Finance. But there is a new development. Yesterday, after the picketing, we had a call from a key member from the government trying to console us and giving us key information. And this man told us that the monies have been released, just as the president said that the monies have been paid. Truly, the president knew what he was talking about. But the money is between Ken Ofori-Atta, the finance minister, and the Ugbami Tete, the Securities and Exchange Commission Director General. These are the people massaging our monies and dragging their fees to release the money. And we are using this opportunity to call on Reverend Ugbami Tete. He's a pastor. We are calling on Ken Ofori-Atta. We want him to understand that we have personal scores to settle with them, with the customers of Gold Coast Fund Management. Because for over 5 years now, if our monies have been released to you and you are just keeping the money for people to die, then we have a personal score to settle with him. Yes. We want him to come out as soon as possible to respond to this
Charles Nyame is convener of the aggrieved customers of the collapsed Gold Coast Fund Management Company. We'll go over the phone lines to speak to my colleague Emmanuel Opon, who is with the protesters this afternoon. Good afternoon, Ima. Many thanks for joining us. Now, describe to us the nature of this picketing.
Hello, good afternoon, Wilma. If you could hear me, today is the second day of the picketing by the Gold Coast Fund Managers customers. And I can clearly say that they are drumming home the message of demanding of the release of their locked up funds. It is about 6 years on since their funds were frozen up by the regulator. And speaking to the convener, he did allege that the indicators or fee that is the renowned person in the ruling New Patriotic Party government, that the funds have been released to the Security and Exchange Commission. However, they have not received their funds yet, and they are pointing accusing fingers at the Minister of Finance, that is Ken Oforiatta, and the Security and Exchange Commission, Reverend Obuobisa, for holding on to their funds. And thus, they are demanding that these two people come out to refute these allegations that they are making.
Yes, Ima, have they gotten any response from the Securities and Exchange Commission?
Okay, so yesterday's interaction or picketing, they had the privilege to speak to the authorities of the SEC. And after speaking with them, the convener did mention that they have not gotten clear word from them. That is why they have returned here today again. However, they are saying that if they are unable to speak to the authorities again today, they will present a petition hopefully tomorrow, leading into the day 3 of their picketing here at the headquarters of the Security and Exchange Commission.
Well, thank you very much for that update. That was my colleague Emmanuel Opon, who is with the aggrieved customers of the collapsed Gold Coast Fund Management Company, who have picketed at the Securities and Exchange Commission this afternoon.
Now, economist Courage Boti has stated that Ghana's quest to secure a $3 billion support from the International Monetary Fund now hinges on Ghana's bilateral and external partners. This comes on the back of a recent report by the Economist Intelligence Unit EIU warning that the International Monetary Fund board approval for Ghana will be delayed owing to prolonged external debt restructuring negotiations. Government was expecting to secure the $3 billion IMF deal in March, but Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta last month revealed that Ghana is likely to receive the board approval by the close of May 2023. In an interview with Citi News, Courage Boti said he is hopeful that government will be able to secure the deal soon.
Well, it's still up in the air, and by way of deadlines, I think we've had a number already, including the Q1 deadline that passed, really. It just tells us it's not in our hands. We've done what we should do domestically with the tax bills. We passed them, DDP, we've completed that. The many other internal actions from the side of government, the ones that need Ghanaian cooperation, we have done those. But the financing assurance is not in our hands, as with these Paris Club members and bilateral creditors in general to look at and consider and approve. And so, based on how they see it and how they want to progress with it, it could go beyond May or it could be May. I can't say for certain where it is, except that it appears we've made quite some significant progress in the process. And so we might be looking forward to the committees or the official creditor committee's next meeting for what they could come up with. Hopefully, it turns out to be a memorandum giving us financing assurance. But that is all I can say. A lot of it is out of our hands at this point in time.
That was economist Courage Boti.
We'll take you to the central region because the Owusu District Police Command has arrested a man in whose shop a 6-year-old boy was electrocuted. According to eyewitnesses, the boy got electrocuted after coming into contact with an electric fence around the shop of the suspect. The suspect, Bernard Obi, is said to have installed the fencing around his shop at Feteka Kraba to ward off burglars. Here is an eyewitness, Benjamin Sechi, speaking to the media about the incident.
My point you are more fan Madam Football Seneba Ayra. Into
I returned home from work at about 8 p.m. to news that my friend's son was missing. We then combed the entire neighborhood only to find the boy lying on a stone nearby a shop. We took him to the hospital, but unfortunately the doctor confirmed that he had died. Upon our return, we met the owner of the shop, telling police officers that he also found the boy lying dead by the shop.
Benjamin Sechi is an eyewitness.
From the central region, let's head to the Ashanti region, where the 2 teenage girls who drowned in an uncovered mining pit at Samfo Eduam near Bekwai in that region have been laid to rest. The 2 girls drowned in the pit when they went to swim after school hours last week. The municipal chief executive for Bekwai, Kweku Bafo-Che, tells Citi News the assembly is in the process of covering all abandoned mining pits in the area to avert future occurrences.
It's about a week ago. We learned that there's a galamsey pit, somewhere there. And the pupils, the school children, they used to go and swim in the pit. And unfortunately, 2 of them passed away. They were drowned. That's what we heard. And so it is at the police station. So I actually, until the findings are out, I don't want to comment on this so much. Yesterday was the time. So I went to the place with my assembly members, some education directorate, and my group step. We went and commiserated with the family. So we are waiting for the police report finally. So we have engaged some excavators to go there and we cover up all the things. Because one thing is there's some water in it, and so its covering will take a little bit of time. But we trying to do it. We have a committee from the assembly that will be put in charge to do that. Yesterday I was there and I took the opportunity to address them that never again should this happen. And so the parents and the teachers should also be on the guard and advise them especially that they should never ever venture going to any pit that contains water. So I advise them. And so after the burial and all that, next week I have to go to the school and meet with the teachers and the children and the people and address them especially on that. But everything is under control and as far as this menace is concerned, it's under control. But unfortunately, I said the pit has been there for about the land is more than 2013, 2014, then about that it was that. And unfortunately, the water in it and we used to go and swim there. And so besides this, everything is under control, please.
You heard the municipal chief executive for Bekwai in the Ashanti region, Kweku Bafo.
Now, the Forestry Commission says it is in contact with the Ministry of Finance to ensure the payment of arrears of seedling suppliers. Government last year contracted private companies to deliver some seedlings for the Green Ghana project. Speaking to Citi News, the Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, John Aluti, said all documents pertaining to the arrears have been submitted to the Ministry of Finance.
The Forestry gave the contracts to them. And as such, they have compiled a list of how much they owe each and every individual one of them. And this comes from all across the various districts. Yes. This has been put in a document form. We vetted it, and it's been submitted to the Ministry of Finance.
You heard the Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, John Aluti.
Now, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abdullahi Jinapor, says government is going after all cartels engaging in mining in forest reserves. According to him, the government is determined to protect the country's forest reserves for both the current and future generations. Mr. Jinapor said President Akufo-Addo's government will thus do whatever is possible to flush out the cartels in the forest.
The response to that is the same as the response that the president is giving over and over again. If we have evidence that anybody is involved in illegal mining, not just high-profile officials of government, whether it's chiefs or it's police security people or it's forestry commission officials or it's media people or it's ordinary citizens or it's Minister Jinapor, the full force of the law must be brought to bear on the people. So the most important thing is evidence. And I believe that the security agencies are very wide awake and picking intelligence. There have been one or two occasions where some people have been sanctioned because of their own conduct. I mean, one or two DCs have been removed, police people and military people, one or two people, have been brought to book in respect of allegations leveled against them. But the most important thing is that if we have the evidence and we have the basis for it, let us proceed against those people. We cannot win this fight if we begin to pick and choose and say because this person is a minister or that person is that, the person can be involved in illegalities and the person will be allowed to go scot-free. That will not work. The law must be blind to those kinds of considerations. And I think that it should be so for all other crimes.
Samuel Abdullahi Jinapo is the Lands and Natural Resources Minister. Now, the ranking member on the Food and Agriculture Committee of Parliament, Eric Opoku, has alleged that the $150 million facility approved by Parliament to finance the West Africa Food System Resilience Program Phase 2 would not be used for the intended purpose. The lawmaker adds that 400 million Ghana cedis loan approved by the House to de-risk agricultural loans to enable banks offer loans to farmers have not had any impact on farmers. Debating on the floor of Parliament ahead of the approval of some loans before the House, Eric Opoku said the loans ought to be used to address challenges faced by farmers to increase food production.
If we intend to increase food production in Ghana, the first thing we have to do is to look at challenges confronting our farmers, hindering food production in our country. The first one is the high cost of farming inputs. The high cost of inputs. The cost of fertilizer, which used to be around 100 cedis, is now hovering around 400, 500 cedis. And the subsidy that was placed on it has been reduced from 50% to 15%. So if we are borrowing to increase production, how will the amount you are taking going to impact on the cost of inputs so that every farmer who wants to produce and produce quantities beyond consumption can even have access to this input? But when you look at the items listed here, the $150 million we intend to borrow, Mr. Speaker, we are saying that we want to use that money to control pests, pest control, to provide information on climate. Meanwhile, we are doing rain-fed agriculture. And because we don't have enough irrigation facilities, agriculture here is seasonal. When the rain is over, we don't have any form of agriculture here, just because we don't have irrigation facilities. Give the resources to the farmers, give them the money. This House approved a facility of 400 million to de-risk agricultural loans so that the banks can provide loans to our farmers. We approve it here, 400 million Ghana cedis. As of today, what is the impact of that facility? How many of our farmers have benefited from that? And today, we have been called to come and approve a facility to increase food production. And then when you look at how the money is going to be utilized, it appears that all the $150 million will be expended from the offices. Office, no impact on food production.
Eric Opoku is the ranking member on the Food and Agriculture Committee of Parliament. Meanwhile, the Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre, however, described the assertions as incorrect.
You are carrying us on a wrong tangent. At least, you should have read the report. So let me reference a few portions of the report, just for his education. And I know he's well endowed when it comes to such matters. So I'm surprised why you are going on a wild goose chase. So with your permission. Background. West Africa is currently experiencing its third year in a row of food security crisis, with some 16.7 million people in urgent need of food in aid in 2020 and 27.1 million in 2021. And the report goes ahead to say, as a response to the food crisis in the region, not just Ghana, in the region, the World Bank Group has developed Food System Resilience Program. One, to increase food production to reduce the impact of the crisis. The Food System Resilience Program is a regional initiative aimed at enhancing the sub-regional readiness to food insecurity and the resilience of its food system. And the report goes ahead. If you read paragraph 7.1, so just portions of it. The project is designed to minimize the impact of disasters on infrastructure, to ensure business continuity and rapid recovery from disaster amongst farming communities. Speaker, for anybody to overly simplify the matter and say that we are just going to sit in a boardroom and these monies are going to be shared in the boardroom is an erroneous impression you are creating.
Frank Anodompre is Majority Chief Whip.
You're listening to the Citi Prime News live from our studios at Adabraka in Accra. Still ahead in the bulletin, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia declares his intention to NPP MPs to contest the party's presidential primaries in November 2023. We'll bring you the details of this and others shortly. Do stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
The international football season has just reached fever pitch, and GoTV will be right there for it all. So get settled into your living room stadium because you are coming with us to the epic finales of the Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, Europa League, FA Cup, and more. All you have to do is get and stay connected to GoTV, where all the big games keep coming.
Points of world-class difference.
GoTV, love it.
No one stops that.
Listen up, people. There's good news for Airtel Tigo customers who haven't started and those who are yet to complete their SIM re-registration. Yes, good news. Complete your SIM re-registration and get free 5GB data falla to browse, chat, Zoom, TikTok, Snap, and do more on Airtel Tigo to change your world. If your SIM has been blocked, don't worry. You can have your number back and also get a whopping 5GB data as soon as you register with your Ghana card. Simply visit the nearest Airtel Tigo shop or agent today. Complete your SIM registration now. Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Many thanks for staying with us. We'll continue with the bulletin. And Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has told MPP MPs he intends to contest the party's presidential primaries in November this year. The meeting, which was held late last night, saw a majority of the NPP MPs endorsing the move by the Vice President. Dr. Bawumia is considered by many as a favorite to succeed President Akufo-Addo in the 2024 elections, but must beat off competition from three-time runner Alan Kyerematen, who resigned in January this year to focus on his presidential ambition. The NPP on November 4, 2023 will elect a presidential candidate for the 2024 elections, and already 9 aspirants have declared their intent to lead the party. They are Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, Alan Kyerematen, Dr. Akoto Efriye, Kennedy Ejapon, Francis Adainimo, Joe Gate, Kwabena Ejapon, Dr. Kofi Kunedi Apreku, and Boachi Ejakon.
We'll stay with the Vice President. He says government has completed the processes to digitize the operations of local taxi cabs. This would enable ordinary taxi cabs operate on ride-hailing platforms to help them compete in the ever-changing digital environment. The Vice President, who was speaking at the 48th session of the General Council meeting of the Church of Pentecost, said this is in response to concerns raised about ride-hailing apps taking over businesses of local taxi drivers. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia indicated that the process will start soon in the Greater Accra region and later extend to other parts of the country.
Almost a year ago, taxi drivers came to see me in my office, and one of their major problems that they presented to me and my team, they said, look, our business is collapsing. I said, what is the problem? They said, now we have Uber, and many people are not taking taxis as before. You know, people want to feel safer and for other reasons, so they would rather call Uber and bring us. So Uber is taking our business. So how can you help us? So we sat down with my team and said, okay, how do we help our taxi drivers compete with the Uber drivers so that they can also be like Uber? So we set the team to work, and I'm happy to say that that work has now been completed. And in the next couple of months, we will be able to place our taxis, at least in Greater Accra to start with, all on an Uber-like platform.
That was Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia.
Now, the United States government has announced that COVID-19 vaccine requirements for travelers to the country will be cancelled from May 11, 2023. The White House made the announcement after the U.S. House of Representatives voted to lift the requirement that most foreign air travelers be vaccinated against COVID-19 before arrival. The move by the U.S. is similar to that of Canada, which ended COVID-19 vaccine requirements for international air travelers in October last year. Here are excerpts of the statement by the U.S. government.
Since January 2021, COVID-19 deaths have declined by 95% and hospitalizations are also down nearly 91%. Globally, COVID-19 deaths are at their lowest levels since the start of the pandemic, following a whole of government effort that led to a record number of nearly 270 million receiving at least one shot of the COVID-19 vaccine. We are in a different phase of our response to COVID-19 than we were when many of these requirements were put in place. Today, we are announcing that the administration will end the COVID-19 vaccine requirements for federal employees, federal contractors, and international air travelers at the end of the day on May 11, the same day that the COVID-19 public health emergency ends. Additionally, we have announced today that they will start the process to end their vaccination requirements for Head Start educators, CMS certified healthcare facilities, and certain non-citizens at the land border. In the coming days, further details related to ending these requirements will be provided.
Those were excerpts of a statement released by the United States.
Now, the Ghana Journalists Association has lamented the country's drop in the 2023 global ranking on press freedom. Ghana's press freedom ranking dropped from 60th to 62nd position out of 180 countries. The association revealed this at the commemoration of the 2023 World Press Freedom Day in Accra, which is under the theme Shaping a Future of Rights, Freedom of Expression as a Driver for All Other Human Rights. Speaking at the ceremony, the GJA President, Albert Jumfor, said his administration will soon begin the See Something, Say Something initiative to encourage the public to volunteer information about attacks on journalists.
The GJA, along with Media Foundation for West Africa, GIBA and PREPAC, recently urged the government to amend certain provisions of the Electronic Communications Act and the Criminal Code, specifically Section 208 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act 1960 at 29. As critical stakeholders in the media industry, we cannot remain unconcerned as these laws are used to arrest citizens and journalists and prefer criminal charges over civil remedies for press and speech offences that are merely defamatory. The arbitrary application of these laws only serves to instill fear in the general populace. One of our colleagues, Noah Nati Dame of Radio Ada, was recently detained for 7 days on false publication charges due to these bad laws. And this has affected our 2023 World Press Freedom Index, our ranking on 2023 World Press Freedom Index. Ghana has moved from 60 to 62. Ghana has moved from 60 to 62. Let's take notes. 2 backwards. As the umbrella body of journalists in this country, Madam Chairperson, we will continue to ensure that any action or law that seeks to stifle free expression fails. Madam Chairperson, to ensure that free speech is always protected, Because it is essential that journalists, who are the vanguards of free speech, receive all the support they require to carry out their duties without hindrance or compromise.
Albert Jumfor is the president of the Ghana Journalists Association.
Now, rapid population growth and expansion of settlements are exerting pressure on pipe-borne water and mechanized boreholes serving as sources of potable water in rural communities. These water sources also face the challenge of having to function on worn-out infrastructure, and the network of community water services has put this on poor management by sector agencies. Citi News' Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani reports.
The National Community Water Provider has delivered 1,022 piped water systems and over 28,000 boreholes in the 20 years preceding the 2017 reforms of the Community Water Service Agency. Opinion and community leaders have over the years engaged in the sale of water from these sources to enable them raise some funds to maintain these facilities. These facilities are now threatened by an aging infrastructure and the lack of technical support in their management. Director of Operations for the Network of Community Water Service, Fred Asafweje, speaking at the group's maiden conference in Kumasi, enumerated some challenges facing community-managed water supply.
Most of these water systems have been the system for about 3 decades or more, and some below, obviously. But then these systems were funded initially by donor funds, donors. And through that one, the systems now have aged, and then there's the need for a proper replacement, coupled with other vitiating factors like high cost of energy, dependent on thermal energy and others. NETCOAS wants to come into the picture to actually be an umbrella body to coordinate all the small towns' water supply systems in a manner where they will form the advocacy group for the small town water systems, for us to reach out to government and to other para-stakeholders to bring out our story. I.e., because when we look at the contribution that rural water systems, the contribution they make to the economy of Ghana in terms of providing potent water supplies to communities in which we thrive, it is enormous.
The group is adopting some measures to effectively manage these water systems.
The NETCOAS will be, as I said, the medium. We will collaborate with CarBank and get these communities and we need assessment for them and see the level of amounts that maybe they will need from CarBank as financing or for support or whatever. That notwithstanding, we will still have to also work or relate with our assemblies, where the assemblies too have to give us the technical guidance and others. When it comes to our community, for instance, the composition of the board, we have a representative from the assembly, we have a representative from the unit committee, the chiefs, and other stakeholders. Gender sensitivity to being a focal point. We include women on our board, of which I serve as the chairman.
A lecturer of the Department of Planning at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Professor Imoro Brema, inaugurated the National Executive Committee of NETCOAS and tasked the members to work to address concerns regarding water management in communities.
This is the new knowledge that is coming from OT region. Chiefs want to play the role of being board members, not the day-to-day management of the water systems. I don't know what is in your system, what in your communities. The assembly people are also here. Whether you see that your chiefs should come and play the role that you, the assemblymen, are doing, or they should sit back and watch what you do. We, as a research-based university, that is what we are interested in. And that is why we are actively engaged in this process so that we can get the new knowledge that is coming from the community-owned management of water systems so that we can promote that idea to our students and the wider intellectual community.
The conference was themed towards national recognition and government support for community-managed rural small towns piped water supply as a critical water service provider group in Ghana.
Stakeholders are calling for more attention to be given to the management of water systems in the country. Hafiz Tijani, City News, Kumasi, Ashanti Region.
Now, the Institute of Financial and Economic Journalists, IEFEJ, is calling on government to assist local publishers break even in the midst of the global economic challenges. According to the IEFEJ, the abrupt and regular changes in syllabus of schools by the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service affects publications done by local publishers who normally run at a loss due to the changes in syllabus. In an interview with Citi News, after a facility tour of Wilma Publishers Limited in partnership with the UK GCC to commemorate World Press Freedom Day, team leader and president of IFEJ, Raybon Bule, called on the Ministry of Education to engage local publishers early when there are changes to be effected in the syllabus.
Now, the Mobile Money Agents Network says it will soon commence charging fees for some free services rendered to customers. This follows a threat to embark on an industrial action over the delay in the payment of their monthly commissions by telecommunication networks in the country. The group says the arrears, some of which have been delayed for months, is affecting their operations. They say all efforts to get stakeholders address their concerns have proved futile. Speaking to Citi News, the General Secretary of the Mobile Money Agents Association of Ghana, Evans Otumfuo, says if stakeholders do not address their concerns by May 10, 2023, they will initiate the charges.
We expect a massive industrial action because agents are not really happy. And if no one, including the telcos, are not willing to take the responsibility by ensuring that we are fairly treated or taken care of, then our signal is that consumers, once they still want to access our services, then they should be willing and ready to pay or to access our services at a fee or at a cost, which cost within the 7 days we should be able to come out if nothing is really said about it. Every service that is rendered at the mobile agent point, which currently it is done at zero fee or at no cost. Henceforth, those services are going to be accessed at a fee, which includes depositing, cashing, and then cash out. Any service at all that currently the consumer accesses at a free cost at the agent point, but it's not going to be so. So if it is money that you are depositing in your wallet, we will have to apply a fee to it.
That was the General Secretary of the Mobile Money Agents Association of Ghana, Evans Otumfuo. You're still listening to the Citi Prime News live from our studios at Adabraka in Accra. Still ahead in the bulletin, court remands into police custody man alleged to have accused of killing his 25-year-old wife with a machete at Nungwa. We'll bring you the details of that story and others shortly. Do stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
Marrying the city's most beloved billionaire, she believed she had hit the jackpot and was on her way to live the soft life she always dreamt of. But that's when it gets darker.
And I'm not sure say your husband to go Hopi if you hear the filler way I get for your dog.
I still have your underwear in my office drawer.
Watch Adepa as she navigates the glamorous and gloomy world of the rich and powerful in the all-new drama series, The Billionaire's Wife. The Billionaire's Wife, only on Showmax. Sign up at showmax.com.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Now, officials of the Fetemang Senior High School in the Central Region say the lack of accommodation for teachers and other staff of the school is affecting teaching and learning. Home economics students of the school are forced to conduct practical academic work under trees, while science students study under improvised conditions. The lack of accommodation for teachers has resulted in the school not having permanent teaching staff to aid in teaching and learning. Central Regional Correspondent Calvis Tete has more in the following report.
This is the Fetemang Senior High School in Gomwafete in the Central Region. It was built as a community day senior high school in February 2013 by the United Nations High Commission for Refugees as a way of showing appreciation to the chiefs and people of Gomwafete for releasing a piece of land for the settlement of refugees from Liberia at the Budumburam camp. It currently has a population of over 1,500, but the huge population of the school does not correlate with the infrastructure of the school, putting a lot of burden on teaching staff and administration. According to the headmistress of the school, Madam Stella Mautokwame, the accommodation situation is getting worse as teachers trek miles to get to school, sometimes delaying the start of academic work. Home economic students of the school are forced to do cooking practice under trees, where they sometimes struggle to deal with the wind, while science students study and do practicals in a makeshift structure. Occasionally, when there is an external activity such as external examination in the only auditorium in the school, children are forced to sit under trees and even use the same venue as a dining hall. Here is the headmaster of the school, Stella Mautokwame, speaking to Citi News about their challenges.
Lack of accommodation for staffs. Even me as the head, I am in a rented premises in town, which is far off from the school. This hampers supervision in the school. You have only limited number of teachers staying on campus, touching and give their best to the school. It's affecting teaching and learning a lot. As we all know, with the intervention that the government has planted, where we can have early morning classes and then late evening classes for children. Those who manage to come do that under stress because the location of the school from town where they all stay is a bit far and in and out 20 cities. So if a teacher is confronted with financial problems, he can't come. You can just imagine the youth left on their own or under a little supervision. 1,100 boarders, where we have only about 7 teachers on campus. See, we have only one hall, one auditorium that says all social gathering celebration. If we are writing in that hall, it means dining hall and all other social gathering takes place under the tree over here. Just imagine in the rainy season when children are seated here eating and it's raining. I think you know what it means. Arranging and rearranging the hall to suit a particular program also affects the furniture we have. So they will supply us with furniture and within the shortest time, about 2/3 are broken down. And just imagine science studied under improvised condition. Home economics done under tree. At times they put on their fire to cook and the wind blows it off. So just imagine these people having practicals and the fire keep on going off. So our appeal that such essential laboratories should be built for us.
Board chairman of the school, Elvis Joe Annan, who was speaking at the launch of the 10th anniversary celebration of the school, says they are planning to raise funds to build accommodation for the headmistress and his assistants who are also not on campus, adding that issues of limited classrooms for students cannot be left out of the equation.
As a boarding school, you need to have at least a headmistress,
the senior housemaster and the senior headmistress to be on campus to take care of these children. But this one is lacking. The main focus of the anniversary is that we should be able to raise funds to build at least a bungalow for the headmistress to stay on campus to make sure that she sees whatever happens, so that if there's anything, at least we can ask her. But if you don't have teachers or the leaders stay in the school throughout to make sure that they see what the children are doing, then it becomes a challenge for the children. So if you are not careful, you see that children may be what? Limited classroom is an issue. What it means is that we are going to have our crowded classrooms. And when the classroom is crowded, definitely it is going to affect the children. Therefore, we are appealing to government and the NGOs who can support us to come and help make sure that we provide enough adequate classrooms for the children.
The District Director of Education, Francisca de Graaf Johnson, shares with Citi News efforts they have made in ensuring that the infrastructure deficit is reduced, but has not yielded any results.
If the head mistress is on campus, the senior house master and the senior house mistresses are accommodated here. It will ease their supervision work and then monitoring as well. We have written to NGOs, the district assembly, and all other stakeholders to help us to solve the accommodation problem in the school, because government is doing its best, but cannot do all.
Despite the infrastructure deficit, students of the school excel at all levels of education ladder, although many are admitted with relatively poor results.
Indeed, the school has chalked a success or a lot of achievement in spite of scarce resources. And we so kudos to the head, the teaching and the non-teaching staff for their miraculous work for bringing the school this far.
The report was filed by Central Regional Correspondent Calvis Tete.
Now, a man identified as Isaac Newton Kuma, accused of killing his 25-year-old wife, Eunice Ahmed Na, with a machete and also inflicting wounds on the stepfather of the wife, has been remanded into police custody. He is expected to reappear before court on May 22, 2023. The suspect has been charged with murder and causing unlawful harm. Appearing before court today, the accused pleaded not guilty to the second count of causing unlawful harm to the stepfather of the deceased, while his plea on murder was not taken as the court lacked jurisdiction over such matters. Father of the deceased, Michael Taina, in an interview with Citi News, said the family wants justice.
When they asked him about the injuries he caused to the stepfather, he said he's not guilty. So I think from the preparation of the document, there's a mistake. So the judge asked them to go and rewrite and come back on 22nd. So hopefully 21st to come again and see the next step. My only problem now is how to see through that my daughter will be buried safely. I'm thinking of that first, because she cannot be in the morgue and will be dragging court cases. That is my hope, that how we settle so that my daughter will be buried. That is my issue now. So from here, we'll be going to the police hospital mortuary so that we talk to them and see how soon they can give the cost to us.
Michael Taina is the father of a 25-year-old Eunice Amena, who was allegedly killed by her husband.
Now, some residents of Wager, Ashbred, and other communities close to Wager Dam are calling on the Ghana Water Company Limited to be strategic in spilling excess water to avoid wreaking havoc on them. The Ghana Water Company Limited last Friday hinted of plans to spill excess water from the dam to avoid its breakdown. According to the water distribution company, the water level of the dam currently is at a 46.2 feet. The last time the spillage was done, hundreds of residents were left homeless and several properties destroyed in the process. We'll go over the phone lines and speak to my colleague Kweku Ediama Ansan, who is at Wager, to tell us more. Good afternoon, Kweku. Many thanks for joining us. Now, with this warning in sight, have people started leaving the area?
Well, so unfortunately, people are yet to leave their various residences. And this is what they're telling us. They're saying that Over the period they've been living here, for close to 20 to 30 years, and this issue has become a perennial issue. They think that it is time that the Ghana Water Company Limited strategically spills its water. So they do not want them to wait for the levels to get so high that will wreak some sort of havoc on them. So they think that the best way for the Ghana Water Company Limited is to spill it, almost all the time, so that we don't get to this higher level. So for people I have interacted with, well, they've not yet left. What they tell me is that they will be around when the spillage is done and they see that it's getting into their homes. Then they'll move some of their belongings, the ones that they can go with, and then they'll go go and stay with other people. It might be their friends or their family members who are outside this enclave. But as we speak, they are going to be stationed here because this is where they've come to stay. And so nobody's moving as of now, although the warning has been cited already.
Do you have an idea when the spillage is going to happen?
Well, so from what we are gathering from the Ghana Water Company Limited, it says that the spillage can be done. That's from last week Friday, and from the residents, they tell us that they've seen some sort of glimpses of the spillage being done. So they're seeing water running through their gutters and all of that. So they think that the spillage has started, but we cannot confirm on authority that it has started from the Ghana Company Limited. So as we speak, we're just going to go with what these residents are telling us. But as I've indicated, they are still going to be stationed here. If they see that the water levels in their homes or at their workplaces is becoming unbearable, then they would have to evacuate to other places. And later on, when the water has receded, they will come back to their various homes.
Well, Kwekulu, please hold on briefly for us. We have the voice of one of the residents of Wager speaking to us. Let's take a listen.
When they spilled the dam, most of our machine got affected, and then we had to lay most of our workers off. But we just, I think 3 days ago, we just had information that they will open it again. And the information being given was that they will open it when it gets to 46.5. For me, I'm thinking if it gets to 43, they should be able to open it so that it prevents it from going into people's rooms and spoiling a lot of things. That's my whole idea about it. And we are also planning to move most of our machines to another branch so that we don't get affected like last year. Basically, that's the plan.
So you think that the Ghana Water Company Limited should not wait till it's gotten to that extent?
From the information that they gave us, the information was that the dam is at 46 as of now. When it gets to 46.5, they will open it. So what is the difference between 46 and 46.5? You get it? So they shouldn't wait till it gets to 46.5 before. If it gets to 45 or 45 or 45.5, they should be able to open it so that it prevents, if maybe there's water dam which has been broken at either Kufredia or whatever that they were saying the last time, we will just prevent ourselves from going to the same situation the last year.
You had there a resident of Wager speaking ahead of the Wager Dam spillage. Now, Kweku is still on the line. Now, Kweku, we know some of the residents, they've been downplaying the calls for them to evacuate their residents. Could you tell us why?
Well, so as I indicated already, they are saying that they think that because this has become a perennial issue, the only way they can solve this is for the authorities to spill it strategically. They believe that if they always wait for it to get to a very high level before they spill it, then we're going to experience flooding in parts of these areas that we've been experiencing over the period. So the best thing is that it should be done from time to time. Also, they're also calling for the dredging of some of their drains because they see that if it is choked, it means that it will be difficult for the running water to move through it freely. Also, there is a refuse dump around the Wager area, And some of the residents are saying that it may also be a cause for the flooding that they experience, because there is this Dinsu River that runs from the Weja Dam area all the way through to Weja and its adjoining communities. And they are saying that because people have been dumping refuse very close to it, it is hampering the movement of the water. So this would mean that definitely the water would rush into their homes instead of going through its channel. And so they wish that authorities would stop people who are doing this from doing it, actually, and also for them to also dredge the various drainage systems that they have in the community. They believe that when these things are done, we'll not have the dire implications that we have over the period.
Now, Kweku, we know last year the MCE was heavily involved when the spillage happened. Have the residents been liaising with the MCE on what to expect this year?
Well, so we have actually spoken to the MCE, and as is always done every year, they try to dredge the various systems, the drainage systems that they have. And this is one of the measures that is going to be taken by the MCE or his authority as of now. But we are actually yet to get to him to see what work has been done already. But then he says that the drainage is going to be done, the dredging, is going to be done for the main drainage systems. Also, the estuaries that were created the last time for the Russian water to get into the sea is also going to be filtered, because that helped the other time. So we're hoping to get more on this from the MCE of this particular enclave.
Well, thank you so much for that update. That was my colleague Kweku Eduama Ansa bringing us an update from the Weja enclave, where residents are asking that the Ghana Water Company shouldn't wait for the water to rate 46.2 before they do the spilling.
Now, data from the Ghana Statistical Service indicates that about 1.76 million persons were unemployed in the third quarter of 2022. It further noted that 2 out of every 3 unemployed persons were female. Speaking at the launch of the 2022 Ghana Household Income and Expenditure Survey third quarter labor statistics report, the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobna-Enim, urged government and other stakeholders to work together to create policies and initiatives to tackle unemployment.
I requested the Honorable Deputy Minister that let us not look at this labor statistics report in isolation. The ministry, in collaboration with the service, is going to roll out a qualification and skills mismatch survey. I did also indicate that we have started some interventions in the area of what is work, in the area of what is labor productivity, in the area of earnings inequalities. Until we bring all these things together, it will be too early in the day once again to conclude that we are not equipping people with the requisite skills. There are serious data gaps in terms of what are the skills that are required from the demand side and the supply side. And that is why we are collaborating with the ministry to ensure that we can get that. If we get that, we superimpose it on this, it gives us a better understanding on some basic things. How many doctors do we need? How many economists do we need? How many statisticians do we need? As a country, we are struggling with these basic statistics. And that is why we need to look at all these surveys from a holistic point of view.
And that was the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobna-Enim.
And that's all time would allow us for on today's edition of the Citi Prime News, which has been live from our studios at Adabraka in Accra. For more news, you can log on to our website, citynewsroom.com. I am Wilma Obuobisa Coleman, and this afternoon I did this with
Charles Owusu Kumi.
Up next is the afternoon's edition of the Citi Business News. Many thanks for your time. Have a good afternoon.
Citi 97.3. More variety.